Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to be about the expenses of a professional badminton player living in India. I'm Orijit Chaliha. If you're new to this channel, I'm a badminton player currently living in Bangalore. I'm originally from Guwahati, Assam, and I've been training in Bangalore at the Simply Sports Badminton Excellency program since the last 1 year. And in the past year, I've been playing a lot of tournaments, traveling domestically and internationally, and also staying on my own, training, etc. So I have a good understanding of what the expenses are like by now. So if you're someone who's thinking about moving to another city, or if you're someone who's thinking of pursuing badminton as a career and so on, this video might be of help to you. So let's get going. Just a short disclaimer, expenses are something that is really personal to each individual. So what might seem expensive to me might not seem really expensive to you, or the other way around. So just keep that in mind while you watch the whole video, and let's keep going. So accommodation and training fees for me are the two biggest expenses that I have in a month. When I'm talking about training fee, I'm talking about the academy fee and the gym fee that I have to pay, and accommodation is the rent that I pay. So academy fees can vary from anywhere between 10,000 rupees a month to 50,000 rupees a month, depending on which academy you are in and what the academy has to offer. If you're training at an academy which does not provide shuttles, accommodation, food, physio, gym, etc., you're going to be paying much lower. So you're going to be paying somewhere around, say, 10,000, 8,000 rupees a month. And having a lower fee structure does not mean that the academy is bad. It's just that they're not providing with the things that I mentioned, but the quality of training can still be really good. And if you're training at an academy which provides shuttles, physios, trainers, a gym, food, accommodation, etc., you're going to be paying much more, somewhere around, say, 25,000, 30,000. It can also go to 40,000. So it all depends on what the academy has to offer. I personally pay somewhere around 13 to 18,000 rupees a month in my academy, and I do not stay at the hostel. So it is just for the training. And in terms of my gym training, I have a gym membership at Gold's Gym in Bangalore, and I pay around 2,500 rupees a month, and the gym offers ice baths, recovery zones, and it has all the equipments that I need to train well. Now, for accommodation, there are multiple options. If you're at an academy in your hometown, then I am going to guess that you don't have to pay for accommodation, which is a huge advantage, because training and accommodation are the two major expenses in, at least for me, in the month. And if you're training from your hometown, then that expense is cut off. If you happen to train at an academy outside of your hometown, then there are multiple options. So if the academy has a hostel, you can stay at the hostel. You can also opt for PGs, you can rent a flat like I do, and you can always share with other people. But personally, I stay on my own in a 1 BHK in Bangalore, and I pay around 20 to 25,000 for my rent, and I really like my own space outside of training, so I'm not sharing it with anyone, and I don't mind paying a little extra to get that. So it all depends on what you want to prioritize, and it also depends on which city you train at. So Bangalore is really expensive, but if you were to join an academy in a smaller town, then you wouldn't be paying as much rent as, say, Bombay, Delhi, or Bangalore. The third expense is tournaments. Now, a huge part of being a professional badminton player is competing, and tournaments can be divided into two categories. One is domestic tournaments and the other is international tournaments. I'm going to make a separate video on tournament expenses and give you a detailed review of what the expenses are like. But to give you an estimate on how much it costs to play domestic and international tournaments, so for the senior category in India, there are about 4 to 5 domestic tournaments that I play, and per tournament you can expect to spend about 20 to 25,000 rupees. And for the international tournaments, in the BWF calendar, there are tournaments going on all throughout the year, and how many tournaments you play depends on what your goals are, what your budget is, and what your world ranking is. I try and play about 15 international tournaments per year, and per tournament you can expect to spend about 1 lakh to 3 lakh rupees, depending on where the tournament is. If it's in Asia, it's going to be a little cheaper. If it's in Europe, it's going to be more expensive, etc. All the domestic tournaments that I play are sponsored by Oil India. That's the company that I work and play for, so I don't have to pay for these tournaments, and for the international tournaments I've been grateful to be sponsored by Medi Assist for some of the tournaments that I played this year. So it is possible to find sponsors, and it's really difficult if you have to finance yourself fully and if you want to play professionally. So if you're good enough, it is possible for you to find sponsors and get financial assistance. So the fourth expense is travel and food. If you're training at an academy which has a hostel, it is most likely that it will also serve you food and you don't have to pay separately. It's going to be a part of your academy fees. But since I do not stay in the hostel and I stay by myself, I have to pay separately for my food. I cook by myself, so I end up spending about 10,000 to 13,000 rupees in grocery, and sometimes I order food from outside. And also, since badminton requires a high carb and high protein diet, I have to order non-veg food every day. So I spend about 10 to 13,000 rupees per month on food. And for travel, again, if you're staying in the academy, you most likely will not have to travel. The hostel is going to be very close to the academy. But since I do not stay at the hostel, I have to commute. And whenever I'm in Bangalore, I rent a scooty from a company called Go Bikes. And that costs me about 3,000 to 3,500 rupees a month. So whenever I'm not there in Bangalore, I give it back when I'm playing tournaments. But when I'm there for more than a month, I rent a scooty to commute. The fifth and final expense is equipment. So if you want to become a high quality badminton player, you need to have really good equipment, especially badminton rackets and shoes. I end up using about 4 pairs of shoes per year. Each shoe lasts about 3 months, and that is if I'm training every day, if I'm playing 2 sessions every day. And I use about 4 to 5 rackets each year. So a good pair of badminton shoes will cost you about 9,000 rupees to about 12,000 rupees. And good badminton rackets cost about 8,000 rupees to 15,000 rupees, and it completely depends on what you want, how much, it depends on what your style of gameplay is, etc. I've been fortunate enough to be sponsored by Li-Ning since the last 8 years, and because of that, luckily I don't have to pay for any of my equipments that I use. I also end up stringing my rackets about once or twice a month, and stringing in Bangalore costs about 700 rupees, and it depends on which string you use. I use BG80 power, and along with the labor charge of stringing the racket, the fee is about 700 to 800 rupees in Bangalore, and that's 1600 rupees a month. That's about it for my monthly expenses. These numbers keep changing based on my schedule and calendar. Like I said, these are just my expenses. There are players who are paying much less than this, and there are players who are paying much more, and there are players who are doing really well and don't pay anything at all and everything is sponsored, and that's the most ideal. And I hope you got an idea and an estimate on what the expenses of a professional badminton player in India is like, and I hope this video came of value to you, and I'm going to see you guys super soon. Take care. Cheers.